What would you do if the greatest danger to your empire was not an army outside the walls, but a voice inside the mosque? At the height of Salahuddin Ayubi's rule, while the Muslim world prepared for war against the Crusaders, a different battle had already begun in the shadows. A respected Imam in Cairo was slowly changing the minds of the people, turning hearts away from jihad, and no one knew who he truly served. Even Salahuddin himself refused to act immediately, because one wrong move against a man of religion could tear the Muslim world apart from within. Before we continue, tell us in the comments, would you have trusted the Imam or suspected him from the beginning? These hidden moments of history reveal how fragile the Muslim world truly was during the Crusades. If you enjoy authentic Islamic history told with depth and respect, please like, share, and subscribe to Islamic Conquests. After receiving repeated reports about Crusader spies moving through Muslim lands, Salahuddin Ayubi understood that the threat facing his empire was no longer limited to open battlefields. The enemy had changed its methods. Spies, informants, and hidden agents had quietly spread across cities and trade routes. Cairo, in particular, had become a center of concern. Rumors moved through the streets faster than soldiers could respond to them, and among the people, dangerous ideas had begun to spread. The Crusaders had realized something important. Defeating Muslim armies alone would not guarantee victory, but weakening the spirit of the people that could destroy an empire from within. For months, Salahuddin received disturbing reports about attempts to damage the moral strength of Muslim society. Lies were being spread about scholars. Doubts were being planted in the minds of ordinary people. Slowly, carefully, voices appeared that questioned sacrifice, unity, and even the meaning of jihad itself. One evening, Ali bin Sufyan arrived before the Sultan with another report. "The matter is becoming serious," he said quietly. "A mosque imam in Cairo has been giving nightly lessons. Large crowds attend, but his teachings are dangerous." Salahuddin listened without interruption. Ali continued, "He speaks in a way that weakens the people's will. Some of our men believe he may be connected to the Crusaders." Many rulers would have reacted instantly. An arrest order could have been given within seconds. But Salahuddin Ayubi remained silent for a long moment. Then he spoke carefully. "A religious division has already harmed enough Muslims," he said. "This Imam may belong to a different school of thought, or perhaps he is presenting his own interpretation of religion. I am a ruler, not a scholar. I will not interfere in matters of faith without certainty." The room fell silent. "But if you believe he is truly serving the enemy," Salahuddin continued, "then investigate completely before taking any action. The position of an Imam is more honorable than mine in the eyes of many people. A mistake here could create chaos." That decision revealed something important about Salahuddin's leadership. Even during war, he feared injustice more than criticism. But what no one realized at that moment was how dangerous this investigation would become. Ali bin Sufyan understood the risks immediately. He suspected that if the Imam truly worked for the Crusaders, then appearing in person could expose the entire operation. So instead of going himself, he sent trusted intelligence agents into the mosque night after night. These were not ordinary spies. They were observant, disciplined men trained to notice every detail, words, reactions, movements, and hidden meanings. For weeks, they attended the nightly gatherings. They sat among merchants, laborers, students, and travelers, while the Imam delivered long religious lessons. At first, nothing seemed unusual. The Imam spoke softly. He quoted verses from the Quran. He spoke about patience, mercy, and avoiding unnecessary bloodshed. Many listeners admired him. Some even described him as one of the wisest preachers in Cairo. But Ali bin Sufyan remained cautious. Sometimes he warned his men, the most dangerous poison is mixed with truth. The agents continued attending the lessons. Every night they returned and repeated every detail to Ali. Nothing escaped their memory. Then slowly, a pattern began to appear. The Imam rarely spoke openly against Salahuddin. In fact, he avoided direct political criticism entirely. That was what made him difficult to expose. Instead, he attacked the spirit behind resistance itself. He spoke constantly about the suffering caused by war. He described widows, hungry children, burned villages, and exhausted soldiers. Then he would pause, allowing emotion to settle over the listeners before continuing. "Is this truly what Allah wants for the believers?" he would ask quietly. The question alone was enough to shake weaker hearts. Night after night, more people gathered to hear him. His reputation spread beyond the neighborhood. Men traveled from distant parts of Cairo to attend the lessons. Some left in tears. Others left confused. And that confusion was exactly what worried Ali bin Sufyan, because confusion weakens resolve long before fear destroys it. Still, there was not enough proof to act. And one night, everything changed. The mosque was unusually crowded. Oil lamps flickered against the stone walls, while people pressed shoulder to shoulder inside the prayer hall. Even outside the entrance, listeners gathered to hear the Imam's words. That night, he chose to speak directly about jihad. Ali's agents listened carefully as the Imam slowly began his sermon. At a time when Muslims are rushing toward war, the Imam said calmly, "We must ask ourselves whether fighting is truly the highest path." The crowd became silent. He continued speaking with confidence. Many men believe carrying a sword makes them righteous. But perhaps true righteousness lies in abandoning violence altogether. Some listeners nodded. Others looked uncertain. Then the Imam went further. He began presenting jihad as something entirely spiritual, disconnected from defending Muslim lands or protecting oppressed people. According to him, physical struggle against invading armies only created endless suffering. He argued that resistance itself prolonged bloodshed. For the first time, Ali's agents heard the message clearly. This was no simple disagreement among scholars. This teaching directly weakened the foundations of Muslim resistance, while Crusader armies occupied sacred lands. And the Imam knew exactly what he was doing. One of the agents later admitted that the atmosphere inside the mosque felt strange that night. The Imam's words were calm, but beneath them was something cold and deliberate. When the agents reported everything back to Ali bin Sufyan, no doubt remained in his mind. "If this man is not a Crusader agent," Ali said grimly, "then his mind has been completely corrupted. No sincere scholar would spread such ideas while the enemy advances through Muslim lands." By morning, the full report was delivered to Salahuddin Ayubi. The Sultan listened carefully to every word. No interruption, no anger, no rushed judgment. When Ali finished, he finally spoke. "This matter still concerns religion, the mosque, and an Imam," Salahuddin said quietly. "We wish to see him myself," Salahuddin replied. The room became silent again. Ali immediately understood the danger. If the Sultan entered the mosque and was recognized, panic could spread instantly. Worse, the Imam might escape before evidence could be confirmed publicly. But Salahuddin had already made his decision. "We will go disguised," he said. "I want to hear his words with my own ears." That decision would soon place the Sultan in one of the most dangerous moments of his rule. Because neither Salahuddin nor Ali bin Sufyan yet understood how deep the network inside Cairo truly was, and hidden among the worshippers in that mosque were men already watching for them. The following night, Cairo moved as it always did. Merchants closed their shops. Lanterns flickered along narrow streets. The sounds of distant conversations drifted through the evening air. But beneath the calm surface of the city, unseen eyes watched carefully. Salahuddin Ayubi and Ali bin Sufyan entered the crowded streets dressed like ordinary men. No royal guards surrounded them. No banners announced the Sultan's presence. To anyone passing by, they appeared to be simple travelers making their way toward the mosque. Yet Ali remained alert every second. Years in intelligence work had taught him that danger often appeared when everything seemed peaceful. As they approached the mosque, Salahuddin noticed the unusually large gathering outside. Men stood near the entrance discussing the Imam's lessons with admiration. Some repeated his words as if they had already accepted them completely. That troubled the Sultan more than the reports themselves. Ideas once planted deeply enough could survive longer than armies. Inside the mosque, the atmosphere felt heavy. Lamps burned softly across the walls while rows of listeners sat silently waiting for the Imam to begin. Salahuddin and Ali moved quietly into the crowd and sat near the back. No one recognized them. For several moments, the Imam remained silent. Then he began speaking in a calm, measured voice. At first, his words sounded harmless. He spoke about mercy, about patience, about avoiding arrogance during times of victory. The audience listened closely. Some nodded in agreement. Salahuddin listened without expression. Then slowly, the Imam shifted toward the subject that had drawn concern for weeks. He began speaking about war. "But people rush toward fighting," he said softly, "all believing they are serving Allah. But perhaps the greatest service to Allah is refusing violence altogether." A murmur passed through parts of the crowd. The Imam continued carefully, choosing each word with precision. "Look around you," he said. "How many homes have been destroyed? How many sons have died? How many mothers continue weeping because rulers demand sacrifice?" Several listeners lowered their heads emotionally. Then came the moment that confirmed every fear Ali bin Sufyan had carried. The Imam openly questioned whether armed resistance against the Crusaders should continue at all. He described the wars as endless cycles of suffering. He argued that Muslims should abandon military struggle and focus only on personal spirituality. No mention of occupied lands. No mention of protecting civilians. No mention of defending Jerusalem. Only surrender disguised as piety. Salahuddin's eyes narrowed slightly. Now he understood the danger completely. This was not simply a mistaken scholar offering a weak opinion. The Imam's words were strategically designed to destroy the will of the people, while enemy forces remained active across Muslim territory. And what happened next shocked even the Sultan himself. The Imam suddenly lowered his voice and said, "There are rulers today who claim they fight for Islam, but perhaps they fight only for power." The crowd became completely silent. No names were mentioned, but everyone understood the implication. Ali's hand instinctively moved beneath his cloak toward the dagger hidden at his side. Not out of anger alone, but because he noticed movement near the pillars of the mosque. Several men positioned around the gathering were not behaving like ordinary worshippers. Their attention kept shifting across the crowd. Their eyes searched faces instead of listening to the sermon. Ali realized immediately what was happening. The mosque was being monitored by hidden members of the same network, and if they recognized Salahuddin, the consequences could be catastrophic. But what happened next changed everything. An elderly man seated near the center of the mosque suddenly stood up. His face showed visible emotion as he addressed the Imam directly. "If Muslims abandon resistance," the old man asked loudly, "then who will protect our people from invasion?" The question struck the gathering like a sudden storm. For the first time that evening, uncertainty appeared on the Imam's face. He attempted to answer carefully. He spoke again about peace and avoiding bloodshed. But now the weakness in his argument had become visible. The elderly man did not sit down. "What peace?" he demanded. "The Crusaders did not enter our lands peacefully. Jerusalem was not taken peacefully. Innocent Muslims were not slaughtered peacefully." More voices began rising across the mosque. Some defended the Imam. Others challenged him openly. The atmosphere quickly became tense, and in that moment of confusion, Salahuddin quietly leaned toward Ali bin Sufyan. "And now we move," he whispered. Ali understood instantly. The Sultan did not want a public arrest inside the mosque. Such an action could create chaos, bloodshed, and accusations against the government itself. Instead, Salahuddin wanted certainty, and he wanted the network behind the Imam exposed completely. So they left quietly before the gathering ended. Outside, Cairo's streets felt colder than before. As they walked through the darkness, Ali finally asked the question that had been weighing on him all night. "What will you do now?" Salahuddin remained silent for several steps. Then he answered, "We are not facing one man," he said. "We are facing a campaign." That realization changed the entire direction of the investigation. Over the following days, Ali bin Sufyan expanded surveillance across Cairo. His agents tracked visitors entering and leaving the Imam's circle. Meetings were observed secretly. Messages were intercepted. Gradually, hidden connections began appearing. Some individuals had direct contact with known Crusader informants. Others carried money whose origins could not be explained. A few disappeared entirely once they realized suspicion had fallen upon them. The network was larger than expected. And the deeper Ali investigated, the clearer the strategy became. The Crusaders understood they could not easily defeat Salahuddin Ayubi, while Muslim unity remained strong. So instead of attacking only with swords, they attacked minds, morale, and belief. If enough Muslims lost faith and resistance, the battle could be won without conquering every fortress. But Salahuddin's patience had exposed the scheme before it could fully spread. That patience would soon save countless lives. Finally, after enough evidence was gathered, the Imam and several connected individuals were arrested quietly and without public spectacle. Salahuddin ordered that the matter be handled carefully to avoid creating unnecessary division among the people. There would be no dramatic execution in the streets, no speeches designed to inflame emotions, because the Sultan understood something many rulers failed to understand. When religion becomes mixed with politics recklessly, entire societies can collapse into chaos. Instead, the evidence was presented privately before trusted scholars and officials. Once the truth became undeniable, support for the Imam disappeared rapidly. The emotional impact across Cairo was enormous. Many ordinary people felt betrayed. They had trusted the Imam sincerely. Some had defended him passionately. Now they realized how easily beautiful words could hide dangerous intentions. And for Salahuddin Ayubi, the incident became an important lesson in leadership during wartime. Not every enemy rides into battle carrying a sword. Some arrive carrying ideas. Some weaken nations through doubt instead of force. But perhaps the most powerful moment came later, when Ali bin Sufyan asked the Sultan why he had refused immediate arrest from the very beginning. Salahuddin answered with the wisdom that defined his rule. If we punish people without certainty, he said, then fear replaces justice. And when fear replaces justice, nations destroy themselves. Those words remained with Ali for the rest of his life. Because in that dangerous moment, Salahuddin Ayubi had protected more than his empire. He had protected the balance between power and justice, between religion and authority, between suspicion and truth. And that balance was one of the reasons history would remember him not only as a conqueror, but as a leader of extraordinary restraint and wisdom. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, comment, and share this video with others who love authentic Islamic history. And subscribe to Islamic Conquests for more powerful stories from the lives of the great Muslim leaders who shaped history with courage, faith, and wisdom.